don't have to answer that one technically, or maybe you have to, I don't know, to even out the polls.
Great, very good. Thank you. Thank you. So you can continue answering. Thank you, everybody who has joined us this afternoon. My name is Barb Safaris, and I am part of the Charting the Life course Ambassador and Family Resource Network of Ohio. Today's session is on the one-page person-centered description, which is
Hello.
front.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
Good. I
Good.
won't take too long. I just kind of wanted to answer a couple of your questions and just give you an update as to what we've been working
We are
on.
going
Okay.
to mute you. Okay, there we go. So a little bit about myself. I had two brothers with disabilities. I've worked in the IDD field for actually 48 years. I have worked in a variety of settings. I worked in a public school, a county board school, a Montessori school, a Catholic school. I worked in residential settings, day settings, and also in employment settings, supporting people out in employment. I want to thank two of our Family Resource Network of Ohio staff, Tracy Mans, who's waving, and also Erica Young. And I also saw, I'm pretty sure, Celia, I did not include your slide in this presentation. I will on Monday, but another member of our Family Resource Network of Ohio team is Celia Schlomer. So thank you all for all your help to get this done. We are only going to be here for an hour, so please, if you have any questions, type them in chat. Erica and Tracy will monitor and let me know if there's something I need to address. Please ask your questions as they come up. In this next hour, what I hope to do is tell you about the one-page person-centered description, what's included on it and what is not included, why you would develop it, who develops it, and who do you share it with. So you have 3 handouts: the one-page person-centered description, the template, but you don't have to use it. And I'll say that many, many times during this hour. The PowerPoint from the FRNO, or Family Resource Network of Ohio, and a template of a one-page with guidance. So this is what you type here. This is what you include. And I see that Erica has put in links for the handouts if you did not get it. Our Charting the Life course trainings in Ohio are provided by the Family Resource Network of Ohio. We are the official hub in Ohio for Charting the Life course. So if you want information about Charting the Life course in Ohio, please visit our website, frnohio.org. You can also sign up and then you'll get notifications of all of the information sessions, resources, all sorts of information. Also, please like our Facebook page. Every week we post stories of how people are using Charting the Life course in Ohio from the perspective of people served, students, professionals, and family members. And our funding for this effort is provided by the Department of Developmental Disabilities and the Department of Education and Workforce. So what is Ohio doing? We are sharing information with everyone, all people, families, and professionals. We want everyone to know about the framework and the tools, and we want to build a common, understandable language. So if someone is talking to their teacher and using Charting the Life course language, the teacher knows, but also if they're getting support from a county board or from the mental health system, everybody knows what they're talking about. So we build a common, understandable language. If any of you are family members, you know that as you go from one system or one life stage to another, the words change and you're like, oh my gosh, what do they mean? Do they mean this? So we want to build common, understandable language. Our core concept is we believe all people have the right to live, love, work, play, learn, and pursue their life aspirations in their community. And all people, whether or not you have a disability, all people. So whenever we use a tool or a resource from Charting the Life course, we have to ask ourselves, why are we using this? For the one page, it's because we want to start talking about people as human beings, not defining them by their disabilities. Who can use them? Anyone. Anyone across abilities, across the lifespan. Who develops it? The person and those who know them well. What is it? It's one page. And there's a reason why it's one page, because everyone will read one page. It's simple to read and it's focused. And when do you use them? Anytime. Think about when, if you're a family member or a professional, anytime somebody goes into a new environment, a new class, a new program, a community experience, a work experience, or there's going to be new people, after extracurricular activities, where it can be used for any setting or environment. And people can have more than one, because you write it specifically for the environment and the people who are going to read it. So I want you to think about, if you are a professional in the educational system, how can you use this to support and empower students, families, and staff? First of all, it's an introduction. It's a great way to introduce somebody. It's easy, it's written, and a lot of students like them because they're always asked questions. Tell me about yourself, or what do you like? And sometimes they feel like, oh my gosh, I'm put on the spot. I can't think of things that quickly. But if they have a one page, it's written and they say, I can share it. I can either read it or I can hand it to somebody. It's a summary. It's easy to read and it's one page. It's not the length of your IEPs or ISPs, however long they are. It's good for self-esteem. When I've helped people write theirs, what they say is, oh my gosh, I didn't know people saw those strengths in me. And it's good to help students identify accommodations, which is part of the IEP transition planning process. And then think about how you can develop your own one page and share it. So think about when you're supporting students, if they go to a new environment, helping them introduce themselves. If they're going into new experiences or new people. So it's when people go through any transition, and I don't mean transition stage of education, but any transition, any change of environment, people, or experiences. The reason the one page is so powerful, I think, is because the words we use convey our values and beliefs. And typically, I know for my brothers, my brother Nick especially, when people described him, they always talked about what he couldn't do, his deficits. And they never talked about what a great guy he was. We typically talk about people in the scope of their disabilities and their needs. And then we use a term which is really a misnomer, and that is independent. None of us are independent, so I don't know why we impose that expectation on people with disabilities. We are all interdependent. We don't grow our own food. We have jobs because we need money to get what we want and what we need. And also looking at the words that we use, do they communicate that these people are needy, or do they communicate how to best support them? So looking at our words and trying to shift from talking about people the way in the scope of what they cannot do to who they are as a valued human being. We want to talk about shifting from needs to support. And if any of you are familiar with the Ohio Individual Service Plan written and developed when people receive services through a county board, it is not the same as the introduction page on the OISP. There are at least 3 sections. what people like and admire, what's important to, and how to best support. And on the template, you see a blank square here, and that's a placeholder for a photo. It is so powerful to see a photo of somebody, because then we shift from seeing the words only to seeing who this human being is. Oh, I was just checking chat to make sure I wasn't missing anything. I like to tell people, when you write a one page, almost all the examples I will show you today are Word documents. They're not on this template. And I like using a Word doc. It gives you more flexibility. It gives you more space, and you can be creative. So the first section is like and admire, and it's really talking about the human qualities that someone has, who they are. A lot of times when I ask students or adults, what do people like and admire about you? They tell me what they do. I'm in Special Olympics. And I'm like, that's great. That's what you do. But what's inside of you that helps you participate in Special Olympics? And then they tell me things like, well, I like it. Okay, but what's inside of you? And sometimes I have to tell them. So I'll say, are you athletic? Well, yeah, I have to train so I can win. So you're competitive because you want to win. And so we may have to help people identify their qualities because they may be used to identifying what they cannot do or the activities that they participate in. So you may have to draw that out of them and have more in-depth conversations. So if someone says, I like to play video games, okay, why do you like to play video games? Are you competitive? If they tell you they draw, are you creative? Are you artistic? One gentleman told me he works for a nonprofit and he develops their social media and their flyers. And he said, I asked my boss, what do you like about me? And he said, you make nice flyers. And he goes, and he put that on his one page. And when we talked, I said, but what's inside of you that helps you make these nice flyers? And he goes, what do you mean? And I said, well, I'm guessing you have to be artistic. He said, oh yeah, I am. I'm guessing you have to be creative. So again, you may have to help people identify their qualities because they are not used to doing that. I have seen teachers use this as a classroom activity, just having the classroom identify what they like and admire about each other. And what teachers have told me is it really creates a positive, value-based perspective of each other. So, and it has helped related to bullying because the teacher is helping to set this culture in the classroom of everybody has value. I told you that people can have several one-page person-centered descriptions. They can have one for school. They can have one for school activities. They can have one if they go to daycare, one for medical, one for employment. And I'm going to show you several examples. The second section is what's important to me. Now, this is not the same as preferences and interests on the IEP. What's important to people, and this is language from Medicaid. So this is, and from the person-centered community. What's important to people are the things that have to be present to help us feel satisfied, content, comforted, fulfilled, and happy. So I want you to look at these 8 areas, and I want you to type in chat what's important to you. And I want you to think about people. Don't tell me family and friends, but what's important to you about family? Is it having dinner together once a week? Is it some families have said, having date night with each kid so that they have one-on-one time and they choose where they're going to go and what they're going to do. Think about status and control in your life. What gives you status and control? And type in chat. I'd like to see what you feel comfortable sharing. What gives you status and control? Most people have told me having their own money, having a job, having technology, their own smartphone, feeling connected to family. Okay. Keep writing. So I would ask people, tell me what it looks like so I know if you have it in your life. Meaningful time shared with my adult children, holidays, each child's holiday. Oh, I love it. I love it. Things to do and places to go. Where do you want to go? What's important to you to do and go? It could be spiritual. It could be cultural. It could be sports related. Time spent with kids and partner. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Continue to share. Rituals and routines, are you somebody that has to watch all the Ohio State games or the Cincinnati games or the Cleveland games or the Michigan games? What are your rituals? Thanksgiving just happened. What was important to you that if it didn't happen on Thanksgiving, you would be like, uh-oh, something's missing. So we all see our children in the military more often. Awesome. And travel. Thank you. Thank you for their service. We all have routines, right? We get up in the morning, we get ready, we go wherever we're going to go, we come home, we get ready for bed, we go to bed. In those routines, we also have rituals. So do you sit at the same place at the dinner table? Do you use the same products when you get ready? Now, you may think, why would this be important? But if somebody had to do that for you, give you, help you bathe or wash your hair, what's important to you that you would want them to remember? Rhythm and pace of life. Are you a morning person or a night person? Do you get up and go or are you slow? Things to have. I always, whenever I'm on Zoom, I have my smartphone so I could watch time, but I also have a water bottle and I also have my smartwatch. Always, always. I also have my pad of paper and my multicolored pens because if I need to take notes. So what are the things that are important to you to have? Purpose and meaning. Usually when I ask people with disabilities, what gives you purpose and meaning? It's that they help people, whether they're helping their parents at home, their teachers, their staff, at school, at their day program. And then culture and identity. What's important to people related to their culture and identity more than just pronouns? So I happen to be Greek American. It's important to me to the language, the food, the culture, the music, the dance, the faith. I'm trying to think of all those things Greek American, but all of those things are important to me. So we're trying to find out what has to be in people's lives that gives them a good quality of life. Thank you for the things that you've shared. Time spent with kids, talking to my kids and husbands. Okay, Dawn, I'm just saying that's a very interesting comment. See your children in the military, having downtime, being with family on special occasions to talk about how their health is going and if they need any help. Attending family gatherings, getting together just because. I love it. I love it. Skincare. Oh, that's absolutely something we have to think about. Cooking from my mom's cookbooks. Oh, Kim, what a great thing. That's so cool. Thank you for sharing. The third section is how to best support me. And it's not what people can't do. So this is not needs. This is not the same as needs or strengths on the IEP. This is related to what does someone have to do to help me? So it's a to-do list for others. So you see one woman for her employer said, when you teach me something new, tell me, watch me, show me, and then tell me how I'm doing. Follow the behavior support guidelines. Don't tell me what to do. Give me at least 2 options. Remind me to wear headphones in a noisy environment. Now, that one, you probably can guess that child, and it is a child, that's something a mom wrote. probably is on the spectrum. But if we write, he has sensitivity to noise, that doesn't tell anybody what to do. But if you say, if you have written, remind me to wear headphones in a noisy environment, anybody working with him knows what to do. Don't talk to me like I'm a child. So the how to best support me is a to-do list for others, what they need to do. So I want you to think about if you have a new coworker or a new supervisor, or maybe even your family, what do you want them to do to support you? So I know for me, it's don't ask me what's wrong. That phrase just puts me right over the edge. I'm just like, leave me alone. Or let me have some quiet time when I first get home. Don't immediately start talking to me. So what is it that you would like others, maybe your supervisor? For me at work, it would be, please don't talk to me if you see that I have my laptop and my purse on my shoulder. Wait until I at least get to my cubicle. Wait till I have a little bit of time to organize myself. Another thing I would have said is when you do call me or stop at my cubicle, ask me if it's a good time. So write a couple things that you wish your family, how they can support you, or perhaps your coworker or a supervisor. None of you need support from anybody. No. Oh, yay, somebody wrote something. Please don't call me after 5 p.m. if I'm not on the schedule. Yes. Absolutely. Thank you, Kim. Think about your supervisor. A lot of staff have written a one-page and given it to their supervisors as a way to how to best support. And their supervisors have asked them, write it up for me. What can I do to support you? And one staff member said, please don't come up to me and say, talk to me before you leave today, because that'll put me right over the edge. I will think I did something wrong and I will ruminate on it all day long. Recognize if I'm reading a book that I'm doing something. Wait until I've put my things down and had my coffee. Oh, you and I are kindred spirits, Diane. Provide me with concrete examples. Follow up with me on assigned tasks. Sometimes I just need to slow down and breathe. So what can we do, Misty? Ask you if it's a good time. Ask you if we should come back. One used to be when I was younger, please don't put things in my chair. Please leave it on my desk. Oh, I love it. Don't interrupt. I'm busy. Oh, when you're okay. Okay, I gotcha. If you randomly put a meeting on my schedule, please provide me with an outline of items we're going to discuss. Don't rush me in the morning. Give me time. I love it. Thank you so much. So you get the flavor of how to write these things. This is what you want other people to do. Do not touch my piles. Oh, Elizabeth, yeah. People would come to my desk and go, you have a lot of piles. I said, yes, but I can find everything. So leave me alone. So this is my one-page description as a trainer or a mentor. And you can see it's a Word doc, okay? It's not fancy. It doesn't have to be fancy. What we're looking at is content, easy to read, one page. Another one page that I've done for myself, if any of you are family members, as a full-time unpaid caregiver, tell me something in an email that you need me to do differently. Oh my gosh, okay. I actually wrote a one page for myself for my wellness, and I didn't share it with anybody, but it was the power of me actually taking time to think about myself and write it down. And then it reminded me, Barb, you've got to do this. You've got to take care of yourself. So here's another use, your own wellness. And you don't have to be a full-time care partner to do that. So whenever you develop a one page, always ask yourself, what's the purpose? Who's going to read it? And what is the context, the new environment, the new people, the new experiences? I love the example that a sister shared with me. She shared that her teenage brother, who was on the spectrum, was going to fly alone to visit their father out of state. And she wrote a one page for the flight attendants. Why did she write it? And she wrote it just about the flight. So if you see him with his headphones on, don't bother him. If he starts getting anxious, just remind him to pull out his tablet. And why? Because he had never flown before alone. Why? Because she wanted the flight to go well for her brother. Why? Because she wanted the flight attendants to not be afraid of her brother and to know that they could help him. So I thought, what a great creative way to use a one page. I want to see. Yes, it should, Kim. It should be done for and you'll hear more. It should be done for anyone that goes in the hospital. So this is a general one page for my brother, Nick. You see, it's all just a Word doc, nothing fancy. It has a photo of Nick. He's in a car. Nick loved cars. You see that it doesn't say Nick Seferis. It says Nick the Greek because he liked to be called Nick the Greek. Please, if you're writing this and you're doing it on behalf of someone, do not ever use the first person pronoun, I, me, my, unless that person said it, or else we're committing libel. So under great things, you see his qualities. My mother, until she died at age 97, would say Nick is ornery. Important too, I tried to capture people, things to do, places to go, culture and identity, and status and control. And then how to best support me are in quotes because Nick told me. Tracy, are you still on?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you talk about Trace?
I sure can. I
Thank
sure
you.
can. So Trey, this is the one we did for him for work. He works full time and he works in a factory. And he had an incident where somebody didn't understand him. So we decided to do one. Well, I decided to do one of these and invited Trey to help me do it. And he said, nah, he wasn't interested. So I started doing it out loud. And I got through the first 2 points and he was at my side participating and loving it from that point. And when we talked about what people like and appreciate about him, that's what brought him in. And the fact that he has a kind and loving heart. Yeah, he agreed with that. And he agreed that he's eager to be helpful and that he's a hard worker. And he wanted to add in there that when he's passionate about a subject, that his joy is evident. You can see it. And then we started talking about what are the things that are important to him. And we made a real point to be a little bit detailed about that. So instead of just saying my family, who? Mom, dad, his twin sister, his kitty. What's your cat's name? Walker. The video games that he likes to play, not just that he likes to play video games, but which ones. And we listed them out and the foods he enjoys. That's kind of funny because Mama's been on a weight loss journey and there's no good food in our house. So, or at least in his mind, there's no good food in his house. So he has to, list out the things that he would like to get if he buys them himself. The rocking chair or swing because it soothes him neurologically in his favorite shows and movies. And, I was surprised to see him include his future in his job. The importance of putting all of the details in there is that when his supervisors or other people that see this want to converse with him, they have topics, they have things that they know that they can talk to him about that are important to him. And then when we talk about how to best support him, these are things that his supervisors need. And we have this on file in the main office at where he works too. Knowing that he's literal. Don't say things that don't sound like what they mean, like hit the road or it's raining cats and dogs. If you tell my son it's raining cats and dogs, he will tell you it is not, it is raining water. And he's correct. Be patient, explain things carefully. He responds better to praise than criticism. Who doesn't, right? If I get upset, reassure me, talk with me, and give him time to calm down. When teaching him how to do things, that same thing, show him, watch, and tell him. And this is the one that kind of broke my heart because it's so true. Help me know that things will get better. He has autism. Things are kind of all good or all bad. So when something goes bad, he just feels like it's world ending. And if you just somebody to take that minute and say, we'll get through this, it'll get better, means the world to him. And then writing things down for him helps keep him calm and organized. When you look at this, you know nothing about Trey before you read it. And I think after you read it, you have a pretty good idea of who he is. And since we took it to work, we have not had one single incident because I think they just understand him better and they know how to support him.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Tracy.
You're welcome.
Powerful. I love that he sat with you, or that he didn't want anything to do with it and then sat with you and said, and add this.
Yep, the whole way.
Love it. Love it. So I want to show you that this can be done across the lifespan. There's no prerequisite or anything, but there's got to be a purpose. So this is written by Maxwell's parents. Mom was returning back to work, and Maxwell was going to now go to daycare. And her belief was nobody can take care of Maxwell like me. And so she wrote a 1-page to give to daycare. So when I'm tired, I like to chill with my Nook and be held. Okay. It's like, all right, that tells me exactly what to do. Sing to me or play music. It's relaxing. Always talk to me. I enjoy having a conversation with you. I will rub my eyes and yawn when I'm tired. You can help me nap by holding me and have me use my Nook. So it is written for a specific purpose. Now Maxwell is a toddler and now he's going to preschool. So now we're going to tell you a little bit more. And Mom added a section, what's important to my mommy and daddy. Again, the photo. I mean, who doesn't want to support Maxwell? He's a little cutie, right? But if all we see are words, then we just get overwhelmed. It's just a Word doc with different colored boxes. This one is Tyler. Again, this is for school. So obviously, I don't even have to point anything out to you, but anyone meeting Tyler knows exactly how to start a conversation. This is for Liam. He's obviously a child. This is only for medical appointments. So it says he needs help knowing what's happening around him, help him get around so he doesn't get hurt. He uses his hands to communicate, so be attentive. He uses tactile American Sign Language. He needs to know what's happening before you start a procedure, so let him listen to his own heart. Let him feel the stethoscope. Tells everybody in the medical office what they need to do. They don't have to read a 30 to 80 page document. So things to remember, please, it can be a Word doc. Keep it to 1 page because people will read 1 page. I know sometimes the tendency is for families is to put everything they know about their loved one on the 1 page. But remember, we're writing it for a specific setting. So what do those people need to know? I'll give you a quick example. One mom sent me her 1 page for her son. It was 3 pages long, single spaced. And I said, who did you write this for? And she said, well, he's going to start going to a church youth group. She had every doctor's name, the phone number, and how often he goes, every medication he took. So I said, is the youth director going to take him to his medical appointments? And she said, of course not. I said, then why is that on this? Oh, well, and she said, well, and then couldn't answer. There was no answer. She said, I guess I'll take that off. I said, is the youth director going to give him his medication? Well, of course not, Barb. I give him his meds. then why do you have it on this piece of paper? We have conditioned families to tell us all of the details of someone's life, but not about who they are. So we have to unteach families. I finally asked her, what do you want the youth director to know? And she goes, don't ask him, do you want to do this? Say to him, come with me. Let's go see what they're doing. I said, that's what needs to be on this one page. And she was like, oh, okay. I said, remember, you're writing it for a specific audience. I always tell people have multiple copies. Some people keep them in plastic sheet protectors on their refrigerator, on their door. I worked with one woman who put it in a frame in her apartment, and when a new provider came in, she told them to go read it. And I encourage people to include a photo. Very rarely has someone said they don't want their picture on it. We've also, I forget who said everyone going to the hospital should have one. Absolutely. I have kept bedside vigils for my mother, my partner, both of my brothers. But there were times I had to leave that room to go use the bathroom, to go get a delicious cup of coffee from the cafeteria in the hospital. Ugh. Or even worse, the vending machine. And people come and go, and you don't even know that they've come in the room. So writing it for hospitalization, if you are working with students that have high medical needs, or you have a family member, high medical need, seriously consider writing one. You focus on what they need to know in the hospital, put it in a plastic sheet protector, put it above the bed. And that way, don't give it to the nurse to put in the file, because it'll never get seen. Put it above the bed. Important too, related to hospitalization. What do they need so they feel comfortable? And that's any environment, not just hospitalization. To be told what's going on. Introduce yourself when you walk in the room. Maybe they want the chaplain. Have their iPad, book, or spiritual items with them, their stuffed animals. So if somebody walks in and sees that the stuffed animal is on the floor, do you want this? Or I worked with one woman who wanted her Bible with her in bed all the time. Do they want to watch a certain channel on the TV or listen to music? Not everybody can operate the remotes. And then how to best support, how to position them. How they show their anxiety or pain, the best way to give medication, who to contact if they want to talk over a decision. So this is for my brother Nick for hospitalization. I will tell you, we learned all the things under how to best support, because it didn't happen and bad things happened. So I am very passionate about having one for people that are in the hospital. Someone, whoever is talking, could you please mute yourself? I see who you are. I will mute you. Okay. So again, Nick the Greek, that's the way he wanted to be called. Great things about him stayed the same. Important too is now different. I want to talk with my sister every day. I want to talk over decisions with her. If I wasn't there, my phone number was there. Tell me who you are when you walk in and what you're doing. And I want to see the priest or the chaplain. How to best support. My brother, in our jargon, needed total care. So here's how to do things. Ask me yes, no questions. Why is that written there? Because my brother used a laptop with voice output. When he was in the hospital, he couldn't be positioned to use that. And so what we said is ask him yes, no questions. I don't know if I shared this, but I'm a retired speech language pathologist. I could tell you and use on my license that he could answer yes, no questions. Not everybody can. How to put him in bed, how to feed him, how to give him pills, how to help him use the call button. Are you still on, Tracy?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you share Tara's experience, please?
I sure will. So
Thank
my
you.
daughter is a nurse at a local hospital here, and she works in a PCU unit, which is just one step up from, or step down, I should say, from the ICU unit. And a woman had come up from the emergency room, and she was a 40-year-old nonverbal autistic woman. She had taken a fall from standing. She had knocked out all of her front teeth. She'd broken her nose and broken her eye socket. Her parents were 2 hours away. That's where they lived. And she had a very exhausted caregiver with her because as things happen, of course, at the very end of the caregiver shift is when the fall happens. And they had navigated all the way through the emergency room before they had come up to her floor. My daughter walked in and she saw this. She had been given absolutely no pain meds. She had been given a large dose of ketamine when she first got there to help control her behaviors, which I would be behaving if I was hurt like that too, let me tell you. She had been zipped into a confining bed. She had not been cleaned up, and sadly, she had not one stitch of clothing on. So my daughter took one look at it. You know what? I forgot one little piece. It's important. At the bottom of the bed, there was a 3-ring binder about 2 or 3 inches thick. And when she looked at that, she saw that it was all care instructions for this woman. She has not got time to read that clearly. So she calls me and she says, Mom, you've got something with that charting the life course stuff you do. I said, I do. And so I sent her a 1-page person-centered description. I gave her 5 minutes down and dirty on it because this child is a sibling. She understands this at her core. And she went in and she talked to that patient and the caregiver. And yes, I said the patient was nonverbal, but as Barb says, you can communicate with people. You know, they worked together to figure it out. And they started discussing all the things that were going on. And so my daughter's first question is, let's get her some pain meds. What's going on? Why doesn't she have pain control here? Can anybody guess why? She's nonverbal. And when she could not answer when they asked her what her pain was on a scale of 1 to 10. So they worked together and they learned what her pain tolerance is, how you do it with how you decide it for her, how she shows her pain. And then they got her medication, they got it ordered, which allowed them to get her cleaned up a little bit. The next question, let's give her some dignity. Why is she naked? What's happening here? And they said, well, she had the gown on, and as she was in the bed and uncomfortable and moving around, that gown kept going higher and higher and higher on her neck, and it felt like it was choking her, and she kept throwing it off. She didn't need one more thing, right? So she said, well, what does she wear at home? And they told her she wears normally sweatpants and a sweatshirt. So my daughter said, we can fix that. She got her some scrubs to put on her bottom. And it just so happened that the caregiver on the way out the door grabbed a sweatshirt. And they got her in that. There was no reason she had to wear the gown. Next question, why is she zipped in this confining bed? What's going on? Well, they came to find out that the only time she ever actually slept in a bed was when she was in the hospital. And of course, that was disturbing to her. So my daughter's question was, where does she sleep at home? And she said, well, she sleeps in a recliner. That's where she's most comfortable. Well, guess what? Out went that bed, right? And in came the recliner. So they were writing all this down as they went through. And then they went to some other conversations. And it was, tell me about her. Who is she? And they were writing the things that people like and admire, that she was funny and that she had a good sense of humor towards others and that she was kind. And then she said, what can we do to support her while she's here? Beyond the things we've written down, what's important to her to have on the television? Would she like to have the BERT team come in and talk to her, where they provide activities and coloring and other things? Does she need books to read? They wrote it all down. They took it and they put it right above her bed, and they taped it to the wall. And here's what happened from that. One, everybody read it because, like I mentioned, that 3-ring binder that was full, nobody read it in the ER. The nursing staff on the PCU unit were not going to be able to read it, but everybody who came into that room was willing to stop and read that 1 page. So our patient was better cared for. You can see how much happier and better she could feel with just these small interventions, right? And then that caregiver felt like she could step out of the room. She could get some coffee and some food and go to the bathroom because the necessary information was there. The nursing staff, they were so grateful to have this information, because telling someone that someone else is a 40-year-old nonverbal autistic really tells them nothing about that person or how to care for them. And then the next morning, when the doctors were rounding, one of the residents read it and said, "What is this? I need to know what this is." And they told him, and he said, "This is amazing." He said, "Why don't we have this on everyone?" He said, "Everything I need to know about the case medically is in the file. This is telling me who this person is." So we thought that was very cool. And then I'll just follow up and tell you that about 3 days after the woman was released from the hospital, the caregiver reached back out to my daughter, and who connected her with me. And she wanted to know if anyone was allowed to use those forms, because she wanted to take them back to the agency that she worked for. And I said, certainly. And I provided them to her. And now everyone that they work with has a 1-page person-centered description for hospitalization.
Awesome. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Again, the power of one piece of paper. It's just that it changed her life in that hospital, but it also changed the lives of all the staff supporting her, the nurses, the doctors, those aides that came in. Now they knew how to support her, what to do, what would make her feel comfortable. I know I'm not quite sure who all is on the call, because I saw that most of you marked other, but let me just give you a couple of examples. I've worked with providers of day program and residential providers, and what they do is they have the emergency medical form if anyone has to be transported during the day, but they also staple to it is a 1-page person-centered description, so that if they are transported, the EMTs and the ER staff not only have all the medical information, but they have the information about who is this person. So I know you have different roles. You may never be helping someone write one for healthcare. However, you may be working with families who say, you know, I wish in the hospital, or I wish the doctor, and you might be able to say, you know, I have a resource that might help you. So we know that when people go to the doctor, you know, doctors are paid for how many minutes per appointment. That's it. In the hospital, they're very busy. They're overwhelmed. They don't have time to read a 3-page, 3-ring binder, but they want to make sure that they're taking care of people. So here are some examples. Again, Word documents, photos. The photo for Sam is of Sam and his 2 daughters, because those are the people you're supposed to call if there's an issue. Under how to best support, distract him with conversation about feeding birds or growing plants when you're doing therapies or working on his feeding tube. Very easy to understand, very simple. Yes, he's an adult, but in this world of being individualized and person-centered, I am guessing that you know somebody, if you're working with children, who need to be distracted. And how do you distract them? This is Martin, who receives supports not only from the DD system, but the mental health system. Make sure he talks to his mom every day. Make sure his phone is charged. If he gets upset, ask him if he wants to talk to Mario. Again, don't have to read a 30 to 80-page document. This is what you do. For Jim, I'm a smoker. I may need a nicotine patch. Tell me jokes and make me laugh. And if I'm in the dumps, remind me of all the great things I've done. I think that's probably a strategy that will work for anybody across the lifespan. If I get down in the dumps, tell me all the great things I did. So we want to see people use the 1-page person-centered description. And as I go through the next few slides, what I would like you to do is think about, have you used a 1-page? Or are you thinking specifically, I really want to do this with maybe a student I'm working with, a family I'm working with my own family, and share it in chat so we can hear some of your thoughts about how you think you might use a one-page person-centered description in your work. So those of you that are familiar with Charting the Life course, what you see on the screen is a trajectory, an arrow going towards what we want, an arrow going towards what we don't want. We want the one page to be human-centric. We want it to talk about who this person is that people love and care about. We want it to talk about the qualities of a person. We want it to focus on what supports are needed so the person feels respected and comfortable. We want it to be simple so people will read it. We really want it to have a photo, and it's developed by the person, the family, and the people who know them best. We don't want it to be a summary of the IEP or ISP. We don't want it to be demographic information of what made people eligible for special ed or county board services. And I'm going to look. Good tool for a nonprofit board. Ooh, Kathy, type more in there. I'd love it. I just use this with my adult students. I teach social skills too. Oh, that's awesome, because Elizabeth, somebody else told me they use this with adult students on the spectrum who wanted to meet friends, and they wrote their one-page description and they had support so that they would know how to start conversations with people, what they could talk about, but also what they wanted from the other person. Like, don't call me this, call me that. Awesome, Elizabeth. I'm so excited. Thank you. Oh, that's awesome. And it just helped people realize how they could start conversations, what they could talk about, and how to best support. For a young school-age student in transition, thank you. Not necessarily with a disability. Absolutely, Tanya. But simply going from one school to another. Oh my goodness. Absolutely. Any transition, any change in environment, in people, or in experience. Not inexperience, but the word IN, experience. Okay. Don wants to get a son wants to get a job. Help him with on-the-job relationships. Absolutely. You've been using the trajectory, and I want to add this for students who are transitioning from one school to another. Absolutely. Oh, those are awesome. I also gave you this resource, the one-page description with guidance. So it just tells you in this section, think about, because I hate when people say, I'm going to give it to the family. Don't just give the family a form to write, but talk them through it a little bit like Tracy did with her daughter. I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview, but also give them this, which tells them this is what we want to see. This is what should go in this section. So you can write them for many, many reasons. The impact or the why is it could be a summary. It could be used as an introduction. A lot of people with disabilities have told me when they go on job interviews and somebody says, tell me a little bit about yourself, they have written a one page for employment, and either they hand them the one page or they hand it and then they can read it. And then they said, I don't feel so pressured, like, oh, I got to think of something. But I'm prepared. It helps people with self-esteem. So if they want to meet new people, or if they have, a lot of people have told me, I didn't realize people saw that in me. And also to teach people their accommodations, what would help them. So lots of different reasons: healthcare appointments, new staff, new program, some schools and some day programs and some residential programs have a one page on everybody in the group or the class, and they're in a notebook in a plastic sheet protector, and that's the subfolder. So if a sub comes in your classroom, they see the one page with the student's photo and they can figure out who the student is and just a quick snapshot of how I need to support them. We've had families write them for, one dad wrote it when they were going to go to a family reunion and his 3 or 4 year old son had just been diagnosed on the spectrum, and the word had gotten out to the family, and he didn't want them to be afraid to interact with his child. And so he and his wife developed a one page and sent it to everybody attending the family reunion so that they knew how to interact with him. Tracy, do you have something to add? Oh, okay. Okay. They're even better when they have been digitized, absolutely, or use a quick movie, absolutely, that the person can develop and keep on their smartphone so that they have it. And it's a good video resume, absolutely. Who did that? Curtis. Thank you, Curtis. A lot of people have done them, and it's part of their, oh my gosh, their resume package. Thank you, Curtis. I was trying to struggle for the word. So please remember, we always talk about the person in the context of their family. And we look at those 6 life domains, and we're going to do future sessions. We're going to cover a lot of this information. We hope you sign up on frnohio.org. We talk about the 3 buckets of need and support. This is the information we need, but as professionals, how are we sharing this, filling those buckets of information, goods and services, and helping people connect with each other? Looking at integrated supports, looking at supports in 5 areas, not just eligibility specific. And I'm looking to see if I have any questions. Yes. Oh, you guys are awesome. Okay. Thank you, Erica, for including things. That it's important to have a vision for your life, a good life, not goals, a vision. And there's a difference. A goal is typically something we address in a year, we measure it, but a vision is different. You know, we might want our loved one to have friends or have a job they love. That's the vision. What kind of life? And then out of that vision should come the goals that are developed by and with the team, either for the IFSP process, IEP, or ISP. Here are some highlights and ways to learn more about Charting the Life course. And please know we have some things coming up. We have a showcase next March 14th and 15th. We have lots of presentations. Please sign up on frnohio.org. And that's the end of the slideshow. As you leave the meeting, you will get a pop-up for a survey, and we appreciate your feedback. If you have any questions, please. Oh, go ahead, Tracy.
I just wanted to encourage everyone to fill out a proposal to speak at our showcase. I've emailed them out a couple times. We'll get another one again Monday, but we really want some folks from education to come and talk there. So please complete one of those proposals for us. Thank you.
We would, and if you think, oh my gosh, it says, 45 minutes or 50 minutes, please don't think you have to fill it, because if you think you have a story to tell or a way that you've used any of the tools or resources, like for employment or for interviews, we also would be willing to talk with you about maybe putting together a panel of people who could share their experiences. So if you think, oh my gosh, I can't think of a presentation for an hour, we will submit what you think and we can try and put a group together. We'd
Perfect.
love.
Thank you for sharing that, Barb. Thank you. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I see Erica's put stuff in, awesome. Put stuff in chat. Thank you. So please fill out the survey if you have any questions.